and it's all going to start here in game number 1. We'll throw that over with Dulcin and Mifflin.
Couple world champions on both teams as well. Couple of which will not be making it to the Smite World Championships this year. And then there were 2 vying over 1. As the Oni Warriors and the Solar Scarabs will play a best of 5. Winner moves on. Loser's year is over. And admittedly, Miff, it made me a little sad. Between Hurrywind and Neil, a couple of the most likable guys there are. Talk about pulling no punches. Neilma straight away putting some damage into Hurrywind. Sad. We're gonna be losing one of them for our Smite World Championships this year. But good news, Miff, is for the Oni Warriors, history is on their side. This has been a favorable matchup all year long. Now the roster of the Scarabs has changed around a bit. But this is an opponent that the Oni Warriors have done very well against.
It is, and the Oni Warriors draft an Oni Warriors composition, top to bottom, things that we've seen associated with each one of these players throughout the entirety of this year. Difference being that this is a completely different look at the Solar Scarabs. In particular, Snoopy on a mid, the Shibalanke pick, one that I'm a bit concerned about, should be able to establish pressure against the Morgan.
The good days, cool. I don't know if I associate the good days with that. The struggle days, maybe.
Might just be able to hunt you down.
Should be able to find a bit of damage, though Dardes on the Morgan is always a pick that, I don't know, brings some comfort, maybe, for Oni Warriors fans. Such a talented player. And Cubo Fred on Nem as well. I mean, one of the storied player god combos. We saw a lot of adapting Thor in our first set.
Sheesh, hit an auto.
Quite strong there as well.
Disc,
and on the other side of the jungle, it's more the same. Hunbats for Sanford Soccer has always been a pick. If the team just needs some good old-fashioned initiation, Sam feels very, very confident on the Hunbats. The question then becomes, Miff, burning beads. Ideally, the Fear No Evil can follow up on burnt beads, but can do the burning. Cubo Fred, Dardes, Vote, they've all got the beads right now, and how Sanford Soccer and Scary D can play around one another with those ultimates could dictate the team fights.
It could, and those team fights are probably a ways off, right? Throughout the early game, looking at both these teams, I don't think either necessarily feels the pressure to get involved early on. Sanford Soccer should have slight advantage over Cubo Fred, Fear No Evil, at level 5, just better than most things Nemesis can accomplish. But otherwise, it's just about auto attacks, play around your double hunter composition, and potentially look towards objectives. I mean, between Shibalanke and Rom together, you've got a whole lot of shred, lacking only in confirmation. But because it's a non-standard mage for the Oni Warriors, you're not super worried about a steal.
Right, not crazy big burst from the Oni Warriors by any means through Dardes, though Dardes can potentially match some of the burn depending on where his transformation goes. And I think that's not a terrible way to look here, Miff. Do you think the transformation options change during the phase of the game? I know Hunbats tends to be a pretty good Morrigan option. Honestly, Hades might not be terrible at times either. Is it obvious to you, or do you think it depends on the situation?
Situationally, for the most part, Hunbots throughout the early, I think you're just correct to do it. Fear No Evil is such a valuable tool, especially when there's only one relic on the board. Otherwise, Nika's a pretty decent transformation as well. Red buff secured by Scary D there in the or Sanford Soccer rather, in the 1v2. Yeah, so early game, I'm expecting a lot of Hunbots, maybe some Bolognas if you're looking at 1v1s. Late game, probably a whole lot of Hades.
Later on in the game, that's when Scary D is going to be very threatening. That Hades build would feel great for Dardes to steal over. You know, Hades has been through an interesting kind of ebb and flow here this weekend. Only been let through a couple of times. One of the more heavily banned out gods that we've gotten. Has been dealt with in the past. But that type of pick where it feels like you might run out of options. Sanford Soccer, level 4. No Fear, no evil, but an opportunity for a gank on an Eon.
No way Sam is ganking at level 4,
away
bro.
As best he can. The root from Vote, it was necessary, and it hit. Sanford Soccer just needed one more rotation of those abilities.
There's no way Sam's ganking at level 4
not
as
seen
Hunbots.
too many of those, but just shy of landing a kill on a Neil.
Really like the idea there from Sanford Soccer as well. Holds on to the Sacred Monkey Toss for as long as possible, trying to get away from that minion wave and get as much damage to bounce between the two of Neilma and Vote as he could. But unfortunately, Archer's just a bit too close, and Monkey Toss came out a bit too early. Missed out on some of that value. And this is one of the risks of ganking duo lane. A massive meme in the community is junglers hate going to duo, because if you come up empty like that, there's not much farm for you to fall back to. Sanford Soccer essentially forced to just head back to base and miss out on some of his own farm.
Cubo's going to steal away some of those back camps. Speed buff not up just yet, so all but one of the minions on the right side of the jungle taken away from Sanford Soccer. That means level 5 for Cuvo Fred. Though Fred's got beats here, Miff. Sometimes you'll see Nem go something like a blink earlier on, but safety the name of the game. What does that tell you about Fred's mindset?
It's, I don't want to get Fear No Evil. Please don't come near me with that ability. That's really the only reason. If it were a CC light jungle in the Solar Scarabs, pretty likely that it's a blink pickup. You'd have a better time closing gap on the hunters of the Solar Scarabs, but because there is that threat of, hey, I got caught in the jungle and one ability just really crushed my entire chance at a fight, beads a bit safer. High stakes game, don't want to leave it up to risk. I agree. Pick up the beads. You can get the blink a little bit later on.
Story of Cuvo Fred is going to be one to follow throughout this set. You know, such an emotional player, and you see it in wins and in losses. But some of the greatest clips of all time have been Cuvo Fred pop-offs. So, you know, if he starts feeling himself, that's a big threat to the Solar Scarabs. If the jungler or the Oni Warriors can really hit that stride early in this set, tends to bode well. But you got a world-class jungler in Sanford Soccer on the other side of things. A great brawl to have to end the year and to bring one more team to the Smite World Championship.
All right, what's going on in this game? I wasn't paying attention.
Slow burn, but a burn that's benefited the Oni Warriors so far. About 800 gold on some neutral farm that we've talked about that's gotten taken away. Cuvo Fred made his way to the back camps once or twice. Slowly build up. Which you might expect from the Solar Scarabs here. They got double Hunter. Couple more items online.
Double Hunter.
On an objective in 5-10 minutes. And that's when your burn should be there.
And you can see the adaptations already from the Oni Warriors to this double Hunter composition. Neoma is already foregone, finishing up the Gauntlet of Thieves. Instead, moves in towards that Sovereignty. Incredibly tanky against the physical damage dealers of the Solar Scarabs. And sure, Hurry when playing match on the
Sorry.
could get a little bit of damage out there.
Make random noises when I'm bored.
At this point. And if Scary is rotated out, something's either gone incredibly well for the Solar Scarabs or they're on damage control trying to stop
SEC makes decent money, especially if you win.
That those two butt heads.
You win, like, if you're first place.
Some leeway to Neoma to play a little bit more aggressively on the map.
Cuvo Fred has spent a lot of time on the right side of the Solar Scarabs jungle so far. He's got a 1-level lead over Sanford Soccer. Love to steal away just a couple more camps. Unable to do so here on the big ones, but keeping Sanford Soccer back. Look, I mean, you see an earlier gank from the Hun Bats. Now you're able to just force Sam to hang out in jungle a little bit longer, delaying help over on the blue buff as well, and Dardes is in. Gets a stun onto Scary D, who's got a dash away, but an Eagles rally on the up-down.
Shit.
And that's your first blood in game one. I think Dardes maybe caught Scary D a bit off guard.
Just a great rotation there from Dardes. Catches the full Morgan base combo, and then Scary D a bit slow on the uptake. Had he channeled the ultimate to immune the Eagles rally, potentially could have survived that situation with a stun too clean.
Oh, Cuvo Fred's in trouble. Use the beads and Sanford
Holy
Soccer
shit, that was a thick auto right there.
Back from the
Fuck.
Solar Scarabs. Exactly what they needed. These types of games, when you lose an early kill, it slows down. You lose a death a few moments later. It feels like it can get out of hand. Fantastic, though, and a great target despite those beads.
It's not CDR in the first slot for Sanford Soccer, but still, taking the beads off of Cuvo Fred, I think there could be an opportunity very shortly to try and reprise that exact same play. Just have him blink in. The damage output with Brawler's beat stick in first slot, incredibly high. Sanford Soccer could headhunt going forward. He's got a couple of targets that he's want to keep down. Cuvo Fred, particularly one of them, but Dardes as well now with that first blood on him. Could make it a bit difficult to start shooting him down if you allow him to get that roll going. Slow him down now, burn the beads off. Opportunities will arise.
You see I mean, it's a good shout, actually, the Brawler's beat stick on Sam. Is that, I mean, obviously you get the anti-heal and that feels good. Does it feel like there's overwhelming healing, though, from the Oni Warriors, or is it just a nice stat stick either way and you get the added benefit of a little additional anti-heal?
It's just for the stats, I think, right now. I mean, of course, anti-heal is valuable. You can slow down some of those HP pots or the Scourge healing or even self-sustain from Neoma, but it's more so Sanford Soccer wants first rotation of abilities to find the kill. Jotun's a little bit less powerful in that type of situation. That's more if you're just looking to facilitate the rest of your team. If you want consistent Fear No Evils. Sanford Soccer wants the damage, and he's built right for it.
So both junglers have had a hand in the early kills. Dardes transformed into Nemesis on the first rotation of things. That double Divine Judgment just very hard to deal with.
Are you messing up his build? Does he?
Emphasis from the Oni Warriors right now. And as long as you can delay this Hades, it's always going to feel better because we know what it can do a bit later on. And so Nika who's been so important to this Oni Warriors team. Think back. I mean, it's almost poetic, right? Although I've called one thing poetic today, that definitely wasn't, so I got to be careful.
What was that?
I actually forgot.
Tier 2
already.
Racross?
Oh, okay. Well, definitely.
I think he was going
poetic. I
Pythags.
do remember that. But this team has gone through a lot. Cubo Fred gonna get ganked again. It's another simple one for the Solar Scarabs.
Nice
Pillars of
play.
Agony, Fear No Evil, Darkest of Nights. It's just a perfect 3 combo of abilities.
Third team with Herwin? No.
And it's simple.
Haven't had the honor.
It is. Hurry. Attempts the steal. A little bit too late. A great stun from Neoma does prevent the Greater Scorpion from going to the Solar Scarabs. That's what you expect to see. Anytime those beads are down on Cuvo, on Dardes, that's Sanford Soccer's job. Make use of it. This is a composition for the Solar Scarabs that is difficult to burn beads with consistently. It's really up to Hurrywin at this point in the game if Sanford Soccer doesn't want to dedicate his own ultimate to doing it. He doesn't. That's the kill pressure for the Solar Scarabs. So every single time one goes down, keep your eyes on Sam. He's going to try his best to run him down.
Purple buff confirmed, at least by Hurrywin, as Neoma applies some gentle pressure on the left side. Dardas was on a rotation out of mid. So this Morgan, especially with Doom Orb Myth, never gonna
Bro, these supports take no damage.
just poking their head on one side of the map or the other makes things
Okay, ominous.
a bit more simple. And of course, that's then something the Solar Scarabs have to be aware of. But you got Darkest of Nights for Snoopy, even though you're not able to physically be there, turning out the lights for a moment, always a bit of benefit to your team. Oni Warriors group up. This is just Cubo, Fred, and Dardes. They are burning it, but burn, a bit of an overstatement. Sanford Soccer pokes his head around the corner. The Pyromancer dropped by the Oni Warriors, but picked back up again. This time,
They've
Neoma
got it.
also here, but Snoopy, Hurrywin both rotating in. It's an ultimate out of the
Ooh, good X-ball. Good X-ball.
And once again, the Pyromancer reset.
I understand play with his knees like that.
Toying with the
He's
idea of
flexible.
the right side objective, but not feeling the full commit.
But they're forcing rotations. They're constricting where Sanford Soccer is allowed to be. He has to hover nearby. Scary D rotates out of lane after Nika had already cleared the wave, so a little bit more farm over the Oni Warriors solo laner. Even Snoopy just
New meta. There's no new meta.
makes it a bit more difficult for the Solar Scarabs.
These starters are normal.
Elsewhere. This is what I'm talking about with
For the gods they're playing.
establishing threat and creating pressure on the map, forcing some resources out of the Solar Scarabs. The Oni Warriors doing a very good job of it so far. Being able to reset themselves, don't really lose too much of their own, and even hit some pretty significant power spikes on this back.
Tank players worse than carry players? Of course.
Keep your eyes on him. He's already got phenomenal defense shred thanks to Nemesis' ultimate. Now with Executioner as well, this opens the door.
That's right. ADCs are discriminated against.
It's really going to help out around that Gold Fury when Vote's there.
Why? Why OG?
Tends to hang out in lane, but might be in some trouble because Sanford Soccer is here. Vote's got beads, uses them. Wild Hunt down as well. Sam plays it well.
Ooh.
Vote also plays it well. We're tower diving here. The snipes from Netrioid delayed. Vote
Nice dive.
trying to heal through, and he won't be able to. Once it's a 3-man gank, there was simply no chance. In the meantime, the Oni Warriors pick up the Pyromancer, but right back to the Gold Fury for the Solar Scarabs.
Warriors on the rotation in. They should be able to slow this one down. Dardes, you got to get in there sooner than later.
Dardes trying for the steal, won't get it. Fear No Evil, it's crazy from Dardes, and he'll stick around and try to fight out against Netrioid. So it's Gold Fury, but a transformation and a kill from Dardes really makes it a 1-for-1 trade on left.
But the Zygen's always in the back pocket.
Scarabs plus Pyromancer for the Oni Warriors. Doesn't really swing the game heavily, and it's a steady 1,000 gold lead for the Onis.
But the experience still maintained for Vote despite dying there. A half level to level lead over Netroid means that he's not even suffering too much. This does stagnate the game a bit. With both neutral objectives off the map, not much to fight over at this point. And it's hard to say which one of these two teams really benefits. I really do love this Solar Scarabs.
Zygen is crispy, bro. I haven't been given an opportunity.
A great pick composition. Anybody who's lagging in the
The
jungle
Z set
or
is waiting.
would get caught out.
Ready and
Don't have very
waiting.
long to survive if those relics are down. Speaking of down relics, no blink for Sanford Soccer. That's a whole minute without that initiation combo.
All I need is people that believe in me.
Especially considering Vote, we're still waiting on those beads.
Yep. I mean, look at you.
Is there a reason the opportunity never comes?
They sent someone with Sanford Soccer to a couple of the different lanes. Those have resulted in kills. All 3 affected kills so far for the Hunbats.
The Zhu Wang
Does set it up.
is on deck. So is the Zera.
Nicely during picks and bans.
I'm a big hero
Talked about
player.
it a little bit. This type of pick for Sam can be hard carry, but also great at facilitating the team from the early to the midpoint of these games. So Cubo Fred off to a bit of a slow start here, Miff. I mean, the Nem, you want to get a few items online. Brawler's Beatstick, Executioner. Now picks up the Blink,
Whoa.
but Hurrywind low in mid. Eats the hammer from Neil. Tanky enough.
Damn, dude, Dardas didn't want to pull the trigger, huh? Could kill him so easily.
Sent the Oni Warriors right back. Pacing-wise on an M, though, how concerning is it? You got an 0-2 starter level down at the 15-minute mark.
I mean, not ideal at all.
Yeah, it's gonna be dope, Pigus.
Able to use the CC
It'll be great
to avoid the hammer from Neil Ma. Cubo Fred is, for the most part, has a very similar pacing to adapting. Doesn't
Check Spike Harris, you have your team streaming this game? Of course, my boys are grinders.
14-15 mark where he starts to get involved. Falling behind, I mean, it'll slow you down, but he'll get there eventually, and he's not so far behind that you're really worried about it.
What Neil saw or wanted here. He transforms into the dragon. Maybe more defensive on an ability that
Harris already good, bro.
Jump
Just
out, join the rest of his team. Draconic
a sleeper.
Transformation, I mean, a decent cooldown. Used now for some damage on the tier 1 tower. Scarabs
Just a sleeper pick.
Sanford Soccer's got Fear No Evil. He'll use it. It'll catch out Cubo Fred. Uses the beats, dashes away. It's a successful initial disengage from the Oni Warriors and a slow rotation back through from Netrioid. Wanted to join that fight. So a few ultimates get dropped, but small win for the Onis. They pick up the tier 1 tower after sending their pressure mid.
Hey, super guy Chad, I think he needs trans, probably. I don't fucking know, bro. Xbox sucks.
Hurry, and all really just to get the beads off of Cubo Fred. Fred's been the target in the jungle a few times. Could be again.
Oh.
Good fear.
Oh.
Scary D. Nice chunk damage on the Cubo.
Bro, Hades is broken.
Hurrywind does. But is Neilma also going to fall prey? He'll leap away. Nika has Eagle's Rally if desperation calls. The fear might force desperation in the last possible second. Nika jumps away.
Hades is a broken.
Doubles back, sacrifices himself. And the Solar Scarabs, Miff, they have grouped so well all around Sanford Soccer and a lot of it around Scary D. And now it's a tier 1 tower and trade for their own.
Major overstay there from the Warriors. After taking the tier 1 and disassembling your own 5 stack, you gotta disengage. Instead, go for the camps, get caught out. And it's the Solar Scarabs who turn around what was or could have been a free tier 1 to the Warriors into an even trade that even skews in favor of the Scarabs.
Oh!
Still there. Dardes, what are you doing here? Dying on
Oh! Sam with the patience.
Teleport back through and a Fear No Evil for the Scarabs. Might set up more of a fight, but no, Nika's gone back to base. He's rejoined the fight. And that's
this is really bad for the Scarabs, bro.
Boat sustaining up on the wave. Nika on a double kill. And suddenly the Bologna making all the difference. And it's 2 for the solo laner, has taken the beads away from Scary D. Book of the Dead.
Yo, how come he didn't go over the wall?
It's helpful, but Nika's got more.
Nika should be able to lock this one down. Slow's coming up soon, but Netroid around the corner should sink some damage in.
The jumps in all at once.
Okay, Netroid.
That'll add a third.
Yeah.
What the fuck did I just watch, bro?
In just a moment. It's damage and delay, but
what did he think he was gonna do, bro?
And the only Warriors who thought they were
You're an
caught up, but they flipped
ADC.
it, and they're running to fire.
Worthless character. Worthless role.
Hurrywind so far away as well. I think he's got to let this one go. No way.
Both teams just overstayed.
Could if he's given the opportunity.
Both teams just overstayed.
The Oni Warriors.
They took turns overstaying.
Solar Scarabs. Similar situation. Try and double dip. It's Sanford Soccer in the jungle who attempts to catch out Dardes, but instead has it turned on him. It's an inverse of what we were just talking about. The Oni Warriors overstay after tier 1. Solar Scarabs do the same after tier 2. A back and forth battle finally lands and levels with the Oni Warriors with a significant game state advantage. Fire Giant on all 5, a great siege composition, auto attack jungle, auto attack hunter, and a Fafnir to boost you with every single neutral objective going to you as well. Now the Oni Warriors, just about collecting gold and spending it.
You know, if the Oni Warriors win this game, that's the type of moment when you talk to the Solar Scarabs and you say, you know, what goes on in game 1. That's where, albeit a more sarcastic player, would just talk about how their team threw the game, and that's where you might be able to zoom in here on game 1. But for the Oni Warriors, it's a deep breath type of moment. You had a lead, tossed it away a bit, now you've been given a second chance. You've got Fire Giant taking the 1-0 advantage in this set. Massively impactful. So a breather before going back and buying some items. Nice little power spike for Dardes on the tier 2 op shard and Contagion for Nika. That's some anti-heal from what Hurrywind and Scary D will both be wanting to supply. A lot of this flows through Sanford Soccer here, Miff. Scary D 1, 2, and 3 on the Hades. Haven't seen those ults heavily layered on top of one another in a big team fight yet.
Not just yet, and he's so close to another power spike, finishing up that talent tree. The Solar Scarabs, I think, probably will have about a minute before the Oni Warriors are able to group up proper on one of these tier 2s. Right side tier 1, if the Warriors so choose. Not really a defendable spot for the Solar Scarabs. We'll get a good idea of what the Oni Warriors are trying to do. If it's a group up on left, I think you're just talking about grabbing every single tower first. But if they start on right and sort of work their way towards left, could push into that Phoenix. And as of now, it's the Oni Warriors.
Those niggas last item looks like an Ichabod.
Just collecting every bit of.
Because he wants to kill the Rama.
As many power spikes as they can beforehand. But when you talk about anti-healing, I think you're right to do it. Contagion finished up for Nika, Toxic Blade as well, Brawler's Beat Stick, Divine Ruin.
It's all been there. Yep.
The Oni Warriors got everything. And the Solar Scarabs, it's inconsequential healing. It's not active decision-making healing.
I miss Ichabod too. Ichabod was such a fun item.
Find value no matter what. If Scary D wants to use Devour Souls,
Ichabod was such a fun item.
Going to find value no matter what. You got to play very careful around some of those cooldowns.
I wonder if that makes the Solar Scarabs think twice. They're going to have to do a lot of thinking here. So it looks like we soft defense around this tier 2 tower. Fire Giant has melted away, so the Solar Scarabs have done a bit of their job here on the first Fire Giant defense, and it's a limit how far into your side of the map the Oni Warriors can push. Not that it's been much up to the Scarabs. The Oni Warriors have just chosen to reset, but about a minute left now. Warriors would love to knock down these last few towers. Doesn't seem like we're going to get a Phoenix shout unless Scarabs potentially overstay under the right side. Now Dardas and Cuvo Fred, they're spotted by a ward over towards mid and now seen by Sanford Soccer. So Scarabs know where their numbers advantages may lie, and it's not in the mid lane. That'll be one more tower taken down. A Trebuchet also working towards left. Really, Myth, this feels like a couple extra minor gold spikes before the next big Fire Giant fight.
Yeah, it does. Now left side should go pretty quick. Dardas has Polly, and it's just Sanford Soccer nearby, and Sam's staring down the barrel of a Cuvo Fred with Magi's Blessing, and that is one of the most deflating situations. It's not up to him. Doesn't really have the ability to deal with that Magi's. It really is. Can Scary get in there? Is Hurrywin finding a stun from a distance? If no, Fear No Evil, which has been the silver lining for the Solar Scarabs in every one of these team fights, really won't be able to lock down Cuvo Fred anymore. Reset from the Oni Warriors, tier 2, barely holding on. The Scarabs able to keep that one alive just for a moment longer. Fire Giant wears off. The Warriors, with a pretty significant lead, should be able to establish even more vision dominance on the right-hand side. Take a peek at the wards. Back camp's already covered nearly all the way to the speed buff. Anyone from the Solar Scarabs that wants to rotate into this fire, they'll know exactly where they are.
We posed the question at the beginning of the game, Myth. It's all around, is the Fear No Evil going to be doing the beads burning? Is it going to be following up on burnt beads? Outside of like a moment or two early, and it's really been where some individual picks have happened. That's when we've been able to have the beads conversation. But to your point about the bubble for Cuvo Fred, then 4 sets of beads to also work through, and opportunities for CC.
They'll take the tier 2 left because it's not worth the risk. They probably thought it was risky.
Fear No Evil and Magni seem fantastic to combo with one another because they are, but you've got all of these defensive tools at your disposal for the Oni Warriors.
I just thought it was too risky.
Not heavily under pressure.
Didn't feel the need to
anywhere
take
outside
the
of
risk.
that. It is a nice offensive boost here. So Fire Giant's going to respawn now. This one's still standard because it was an early first FG. Just now at the 23-minute mark. Wonder how cautiously or aggressively the Oni Warriors
Vote is gonna fucking own them, dude.
Throughout the year, it's
got a triple crit online.
Some issues around objectives that have flipped games back. Maybe Cuvo Fred finding his target in Netrioid. In fact, Netrioid actually turns most of the damage here. Ichabod, last item now for Nika. So whether that's damage onto FG or scrapping with some of these carries. Nika's now in a much better spot.
Yeah, the 1v1 potential could line up against either of these ADCs and likely win out on that battle. Bologna uniquely suited at dealing with the double hunter composition. Disarm plus block stacks in the first ability means that the Solar Scarabs will be really reliant on Scary D at slowing down Nika, which is not an ideal situation. You want this Hades diving, but if he has to play concern for his backline, really limits the initiation which has already been limited fairly. I mean, Sanford Soccer, he's been hesitant going with Fear No
Hurrywin stun, melted but not killed.
This is a really good Humbot ult
from Sanford Soccer has delayed the engagement, but Nika's found the backline nonetheless. Scary D's got to lead. Pillars of Agony already used. The chase
Double
down
Nem.
is in, and it's the Nemesis damage and slows that are going crazy, as well as Nika, who has scrapped wonderfully a double for the
They
solo
could not
leader.
kill
3
Nika,
down
bro.
For the Scarabs. That'll be another FG to go.
That's so tough because Sanford Soccer, there's nothing else he can do in a situation like that. You have to go in. You have to start up that fight. Yeah, and what does he get? He gets 2 sets of beads, but because the Oni Warriors have easy chase down now, Sanford Soccer needs to put himself in a committal position to burn away those relics. The Warriors say, okay, you burnt my beads, I'll burn your life, and you won't be able to make use of it at any point. Now 20 seconds of the grayscale, Fire Giant on 5 once more, and the bird under threat.
Their support got one shot
Should
too.
go down. Snoopy dead for 10, same with Scary D. Still a couple, there you go back, finish it off. Couple tier 2 towers left though.
I don't know how they don't ban Morrigan from Dardes, bro. Dardes has like 2 gods.
You will be able to get a bit more gold from this tier 2. And this is what we've talked about, a lot of what we love. When the Fire Giant happens, you've got that momentary advantage instead of immediately going back and
Ruby's build's
resetting.
bad. It's
Only
okay.
Warriors
He's
stuck
just so
around, got the
behind.
tower,
He didn't
got
have
the
any
Phoenix,
pen.
and now can go back and reset. But Sanford Soccer doesn't want to let them spend that gold.
Got his ult.
Because it's still in the back
Jesus,
pocket.
so
Only Warriors get the
behind.
Oni Fury. Fear No Evil on a 3. Sam looking for the play, won't find it, but plenty of damage on an Neomah. Should be the first kill, and it is. Netrioid, some life here in game number 1. Nika left running, but an Eagles rally, all he might need. Peel away 1 FG buff. Not too shabby for the Solar Scarab.
Expo would be good with Oboe too. He just doesn't have any of his
Sanford
power
Soccer has to work
items.
so hard, Dave. He has to work
He is.
so hard
working
to
overtime.
find the value with this ultimate, man. It's burn beads on Fire Giant, trade my life, respawn, and W key at the Gold Fury. Fortunately, does find a couple of key targets, but with just Neil falling down, this tier 2 might be the best the Solar Scarabs can ask for. 5 versus 4 with Fire Giant on the 4. I think in favor of the Oni Warriors. So the Solar Scarabs close up a bit of that gold, but it still is all impact.
I don't know what you're talking about, world
No
champion.
true 6 slot for the Oni Warriors, barring Nika, who has just finished up that starter item. The Scarabs still have a pretty steep hill to climb, but I think they've identified their win condition. It's Sanford Soccer. If it's a 3-man ultimate and the beads are already gone, awesome. Find the damage follow-up. Netroid will land his ultimate shots every single time and at least confirm some of those kills. But it's burning those beads that's the concern. You don't want it to be Sanford Soccer. You'd much prefer it's Scary D. You'd much prefer it's Hurrywin. But because they're so far behind, Solar Scarabs that is, a 2-second fear sounds amazing on paper. Doesn't have the threat behind it to make those beats worthwhile. Hurrywin stun from a distance, great. But the damage output isn't a standard mage. Snoopy's playing a hunter. Has to land a couple of those auto attacks and pray that they crit if he wants to really generate threat onto the Warriors. Often we've seen them take the stun, hold on to their beads. It is truly one thing that the Solar Scarabs have got to fight back in. And the beats are already back up.
But he's ready for Worlds?
He's going to have to do it twice.
Yeah, it might be for now, because you do have
Not
a double
ready.
hunter composition that'll scale up. Full build except for starter item for Netrioid. 1 item missing for Snoopy in that build, but Darda is very strong. He's opted for the bubble as well. Talk about Sam working hard. Now you got 2 bubbles to pop. Plus a bunch of beads on the Oni Warrior side of things. Nika brawling with Scary D. He's actually found really good damage. Darkest of Nights used by Snoopy, and right side Phoenix loses half of its health in the meantime. Voda's gone full
is
crit,
circle,
except for
yeah.
the Bowers Gauntlet here. I don't see any Spectrals.
Fuck driving to Texas, bro. Oh,
On one of these squishy
I think
targets
everyone's
in this last
flying.
fight as well. Neomah presses the go button.
Could walk himself in here. Nika's got the flank as well. But the Solar Scarabs, they're staying calm. They want to defend.
Nika's just buying space. Horse goes out. So does an ultimate from Hurrywin and a Fear
That's
No
not good.
Evil.
Eee.
Looks like from 1.
Eee.
Just repels for the moment. All right, so a bit of flash in the pan and not much after the fact. That was a Sanford Soccer ult that sent a few scurrying. Fire Giant's going to fall off, and only the 1 Phoenix down.
If an ADC is able to eat a Fear No Evil and hold on to both relics, things are not good on the Solar Scarab front. That is a tough situation. Sanford Soccer seemed to have thought there would have been a bit more offense from the Oni Warriors there, but instead it was just poking and prodding into the bird.
Yeah,
Solar
Arlington.
Scarabs, though, around this Fire Giant, will have a bit of a map state advantage come back their way. Advantage in that it's a loss of disadvantage. Mid-Phoenix coming back up very shortly. Should only be about one more enhanced wave that they need to concern themselves with. But the golden experience, it's still the same gap we had in the previous fight, maybe even a little bit better for the Oni Warriors. A lot of those targets have already ticked over to level 20, so experience a bit deceptive, but gold still certainly a major topic of conversation. Relics of the Solar Scarabs haven't been upgraded just yet. Oni Warriors, they're benefiting from that, essentially just an additional ability. Getting some CDR off with those beads, things along those lines could really start to turn around some of these fights. And, well, I think turnaround's probably not the best way to put it.
No.
Further add fuel to the fire.
That's right.
That's tough.
Gaining an additional advantage. Nika.
They have so many already.
I know. Do they need more? No. They might, though. They might like it. Solar Scarabs. They might send Sanford Soccer forward here. He's got a Fear No Evil. Won't have the time to use it. Fire Giant yet again. This time only 20 seconds away from being enhanced. Warriors not wanting to leave things up to chance. No stun on a Snoopy. My God, Snoopy might have died. Or definitely would have had to use both Beats and Aegis there had the stun from Dardes been in range. I gotta look towards
Why is the text $80? Yeah, if you fucking take Spirit Airlines, bro. Fuck that.
And a 4-0-4 Bologna, who's out of Cavale for a while. An upgraded starter item for a while. Now that this mid-Phoenix is back up, though, does cut off the entry from Nika, from Dardes. Darkest of Nights out. Again, an early ultimate used by the Solar Scarabs. Oni Warriors happy to take a breather and back away and reinitiate.
Just so simple. Lights are out, I'm done. Come initiate on us if you want, but there's no way the Scarabs take a fight outside the Phoenix. Nika doing a good job. Lockdown Sanford Soccer keeps your backline incredibly safe, but the Oni Warriors are taking a slow approach to this one. Dardes should be able to finish off this Phoenix soon.
Whoa, Nika, he's taking a lot of damage here. Nika might have to use Eagle's Rally, barely gets out of the base of the Solar Scarabs, but still.
They've only got one Phoenix so far, that's crazy.
Drops. And the Oni Warriors didn't make much more headway on the right side. Sent the last bit of damage into the mid lane Phoenix, so at least that got taken down. But you've lost some of your initiation.
Because they cancel the most flights, have the most issues out of any other airline.
The up down to start off a fight.
Doesn't, but you still have other ways to initiate. Dardes could turn into Sanford Soccer. Neomar could land a hander from range. Or Nika could just take a bird on his own.
He's doing just that. There's your Fear No Evil. And your Pillars of Agony. Oh, but Sanford Soccer's lost a fight anyway. And now it's a 2 versus 1. One that Scary D doesn't want to be a part of. Snipes
that's good, Mark. I mean, you're just one of the lucky ones.
Dardes dropped Scary.
But that's anecdotal
and now
evidence.
The Oni Warriors is 5. Losing their solo laner makes you think twice. But you've opened up the base of the Scarabs.
Left and mid Phoenix off the board. Dardes in the stealth. Anybody could fall. But those minions keep them out. The auto attacks from Netroid and Snoopy make it a bit difficult. A bullet hell on the left-hand side. Doesn't want to walk through that one. 4 versus 3. Still a minute and a half on the Fire Giant. Polynomicon for Dardes. And minion wave nearby.
Dang.
I think the Solar Scarabs have got some more defense ahead of them. The Oni Warriors, they're keeping the push up.
Walk over the bracer. Neomar can transform at any moment. Chooses now. And this Phoenix will drop. Cubo Fred has actually made his way onto the Titan. He's ushered in a few of his minion waves. And it looks like maybe one more reset for the Oni Warriors. All 3 Phoenixes down.
Guy's been losing for a bit.
Not often you see a turnaround from this game state. Say what you will about that game state, but the Scarabs, they have fought and clawed their way. Ultimately, has not saved the game, but just delayed it.
Every minute that this game has gone beyond the 25-minute mark has been fought for and earned, sweat, cried, and bled over by the Solar Scarabs, holding on desperately to the last remnants of hope. The Oni Warriors knocking on the door.
But the thing is,
have been able to
I win a game like this, no cap.
Off the back of
Scarabs.
Great macro play, really. Nika just keeping them guessing on where that push is going to originate. The Solar Scarabs, though, this is a Hail Mary attempt. Hurry went very
yeah, you've just been very fortunate.
Even if he does connect massive CC,
it's good though.
Follow up. Solar Scarabs just posture.
I keep taking it if I haven't had issues.
And one that the Oni Warriors probably not even concerned about. I mean, if we look at the charts, it's not denting it.
No, and at this point in the game, I'm not sure we're too concerned about them either. I mean, you're catching up on gold if you're the Scarabs, but you're right on the 6th slot. It's really more about burn around the objective. The additional benefit of getting that Primal Fury may matter for the Scarabs. If this game finds a way to go on another 5-10 minutes. Another Fire Giant after this one. This one enhanced, though, and that's a massive difference. Oni Warriors have had 3 regular Fire Giants.
Oh, really?
Many
Why?
of those had been enhanced. Remember, we were 20 seconds away or so from the previous one being enhanced, but Warriors didn't want to risk that. None of the Phoenixes particularly close to coming back either, maybe mid, about a minute away. All these waves are going to have to be dealt with, and Miff, I'm not sure the Scarabs have much of an option here. I suppose you could send snipes from Netrioid to right, hope for a risk, hope for a Hail Mary type of call. But I don't think you can just leave your base open to all these waves pouring in.
So far, left side wave has been left open. That's getting dangerously close to the Titan room. The Solar Scarabs showing presence. Scary D caught out.
Oh no, this is bad. This is bad for the Scarabs, bad for Scary. Rampage for Cubo Fred, who's started this game slow, but now Nika, he's in a 1v4 of his own, and the Scarabs would have loved to have traded back, unable to get that kill. Stardez through the stealth will send some damage towards Snoopy.
Look how many wards they have there, bro.
One and done for the Oni Warriors.
4 wards in that one
brings them right back
spot.
to the
Oh
fight.
my
Fire Giant
god.
will go quick. The Solar Scarabs will not step up without their Hades. So enhanced fire to 5 of the Oni Warriors.
Oh
Just
my
as some of these
god.
Phoenixes are starting to respawn. Minion waves already leaking in on both side lanes as well. The
That's a
Solar
rough
Scarabs,
look.
30 seconds they have to defend without Scary D on the map. That's difficult. Sanford Soccer's been working overtime the entire time. It's got to do it some more. Got to work some miracles, really.
Yeah, bubbles, beads, same story as we've had all game long. There's still 15 seconds on Scary D. That is time aplenty. Both teams have had opportunities here in game 1, but it's the Oni Warriors with an early Fire Giant that wrestled control back from the Scarabs. And now just 1 siege away from ending the game, but again, cautious, as the Warriors have been all game long.
Give me your birds.
Everything on the map is down. There's literally nothing else for the Oni Warriors to wait on except for minion waves. But now Scary D is back. On Cubo Fred, it's on Nika, and now it's on Neilma, who's transformed. He'll start off this fight. Cubo Fred dashes away from the walls of Hurrywind. Both teams taking a breather.
It's at least Magi's off of Cuvo, so now it's only Beads as a line of defense around the CC of the Solar Scarabs. But where is it?
Oh, Scary D, Book of the Dead working overtime as an Eagles rally ushers the Oni Warriors into the Titan room, and a Fear No Evil on 3 members of the Scarabs, and the damage.
All right, hey, the Warriors won game 1 yesterday.
And game 1 to the Oni Warriors.
A very clean game 1 at that. Takes them a little while.
All right, let's see the shakeups.
Might change up and maybe how some of the draft shifts around. Up
Oh, I
against
don't
the
even
Oni
need this
Warriors.
anymore, actually.
We'll still see the Naja as a ban by the Solar Scarabs. Not something that Sam is interested in playing, and not something that they're willing
Finish
to
with
maybe
them.
top pick or give over to Cuvo Fred. So they're going to go ahead and take that one off the table. Oni Warriors will still put a little bit of respect towards Snoopy over in the mid lane by banning away the Vulcan and the Morgan. There's a big respect over towards that guy. Because remember, this is something that Miff and I talked about yesterday, which is the Morgan's not really in a great spot right now. She's not in a bad spot, but this isn't really a top mage at the moment. A lot of her clear, a lot of her damage has been nerfed over time. But still showing that these players who are really good on that pick can really make it shine.
Yeah, her early clear being hurt does stop some of that early pressure. However, if you're making use out of every single ult, every single transformation, it really doesn't matter if you're a little slower in the early for clear-wise. So I think smart for the Solar Scarabs to take that one away. And in turn, they're going to grab themselves the Maui. I mean, the CERN and the Ishtar were banned by the Oni Warriors, sort of forcing the Scarabs into picking their support first. A pick that Hurrywind does enjoy, as said in the pre-game interview. So expect some extra.
Sheesh, that man is iced out.
Just by nature of Maui's kit, you know, jumping in, getting some pulls back. You can look to get kills, especially if Neil Ma's on an immobile support.
Scarabs coach, a guy named Blast.
Aggro, the designer of the god, at least in some of their discussions about it, but something that Hurrywind is not strayed to go towards. Really kind of seeing the evolution of Hurrywind as a support player throughout season.
Yeah, I know, Grimes.
And the gods that he has picked, the way that he has played in this role is really something to behold. And if you weren't keeping track of Hurrywind throughout the entirety of the year, I mean, go back and look at him in like his first month of playing support competitively during the SPL qualifiers, and then watch this evolution through the SCC and now into the SPL. Has bled through really nicely for this player and has really made him such a strong component for the new Solar Scarabs roster.
His name is Blast.
After the Maui pick by the Scarabs, they'll draw
that's true.
side lane once again. Rom picked up for Vote, though. Could still go to Dardas. We've seen the Rom mid a couple of times. And then Amaterasu locked in for Nika.
Scary D wants to take the Colin into the soul lane versus the Ama. Gonna get online a lot earlier. You have pressure to look for ganks in that lane just because of the nature of your rage transformations if you're able to use that correctly, which most of these soul laners do. Up against an Ama, you should be getting pressure and possibly even looking towards some invades depending on what Cuvo Fred is able to go through in the jungle. I'm curious to see if a hunter gets prioritized here, and it will be the Chernobog. I think, you know, Snoopy's played it a fair bit, and Netroid still does have the capability to pick this character up. At the moment, I'm going to say it's mid, but we'll see how the rest of the draft goes through.
Hey, Pan, thank you so much.
You're going to have to worry about the global presence now. That ultimate can be super annoying if you're trying to fight
true
on opposite
Luminary.
sides of the map, and then you assume Chernobog's not there, and he instantly...
That's Cherno mid.
It's annoying to deal with. You got to make sure you're always prepping for the numbers advantage.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well with this Chernobog, was that we've seen Snoopy play it a couple times. Some flexibility for this god. So
No, I don't think they're doing
finding out
world
basically
jerseys this
the rest
year.
of the draft.
But I gotta find my actual jersey. I don't even know where it is.
Neil Ma worked well for him in game number 1. We'll see if he can hold up that same level in game number 2 for the Oni Warriors. Now, as we jump into the second wave of bans, still shots in the jungle. A couple at Sam for Soccer was how it was last time for the Oni Warriors. It was a Mercury and a Pele last time around. It will still be the Mercury for the Oni Warriors, and a Poseidon ban by the Solar Scarabs, something that we saw Dardas play in game 1 and I believe also game 2 yesterday in their set against Hex Mamba. Worked really well for Dardas, so maybe no surprise seeing that one is going to get banned away, but it's the Scarabs who actually are the ones to ban the Pele away.
This has been a pick that neither one of these teams really want to let through in the second wave of bans. I guess just realize the solo kill potential as well as the
How you feel about this churn pick? I think they won with it the other day, so
I actually really do like the Mercury.
I believe it's good.
But the Hebo ban is something I was thinking the Solar Scarabs might want to go to, because if Snoopy is taking that Chernobog mid, you got to imagine Net's also going to take a Hunter, so magical damage through the jungle could be something the Scarabs prioritize, and we know that both of these teams have seen the mean end of a Hebo recently, so probably smart to take that one away, just giving you flashbacks of Johnny's play. And it looks like the Oni Warriors are going to be grabbing the...
They're terrified of Hebo Merc now, yeah.
Prot shred there, good die potential. I mean, we saw it all last game.
That's so funny.
Whether or not you get off to an early start, doesn't really matter. That Prot shred late game is still going to be real solid.
So far, really only a change-up forced out of the something different this time around. And then we have the Amaterasu instead of the Bologna, but the Fafnir Nemesis returns from game number 1.
Hold up, wait a minute.
Place of the Kerninos, so we'll have to see what ends up being the final selection for the Warriors, because
trauma bans.
Chernobog being flexible for,
that's so good.
Netroid, depending on where you want to throw that one. This ROM similar for Dardas in Vote. We've seen Dardas take this one mid a couple of times, so we'll see if that ends up going to him, or if we see a more traditional mage or maybe another hunter make its way into the pool. But final 2 options for the Solar Scarabs. You've got some long-range initiation from Maui. You've got some in-your-face initiation with Kukulkan. Is there anything missing from the Solar Scarabs roster you'd like to see short up in these final 2?
I think that Prot Shred would be a big deal again. Because of that, the Solar Scarabs are pivoting their draft a little bit. I find it hard to believe that they would just lock another Hunter in for Netroid without getting another applicator of some good protection shred. Unless, of course, Sam for Soccer is going to go towards, I don't know, an Alquang at this point. There's not too many magical junglers you really want to look to this late in a draft with the Hebo and the Poseidon gone. So that could be why they're thinking about this one a little bit longer, because Netroid still does have the capabilities to take that Chernobog into duo lane, and it looks like that will be the adaptation. They changed up entirely. They're going to go with the Awilix and the Agni, sending Cherno over to the duo lane. I like this. I would not doubt that they were looking for that Hebo once it was taken away. They had to get some more magical damage in Agni, who has had a fantastic tournament, by the way. This character been doing big damage, very safe. You don't have to worry too much, and it's the AMC getting locked in. Dardas either doesn't care about patch notes, or he's able to make these characters work regardless, because the Mori and the AMC have fallen out of favor for pretty much everyone besides him.
My man said, those patch notes can't stop me. I can't even read right now. He is playing this AMC, whether it is top of the meta or non-existent for so many of the players, but an AMC Nemesis and an Amaterasu to go through. I mean, you look at a single target that gets caught out by the Oni Warriors, and that could be devastating for the Solar Scarabs. But, as mentioned, dipping very heavily into physical damage, have 2 forms of Prot Shred now with the Nemesis and the Amusin Cob, but both of those tied to the ultimate. Do you worry for the Oni Warriors late game as things start to develop and as those physical protections start to stack up for the Maui, for the Kukulkan? Do you worry about the Oni Warriors late game kill potential?
I don't think that their kill potential is the problem. They've got a Fafnir and 4 auto attackers. Like, they should be just fine. No matter who they get to, they'll have enough protection shred to just, shred through them. I think their comp is a bit late game oriented here. AMC can get online at level 5, of course, but you want Rama and you want Fafnir to get some more itemization. You want that Shogun's Kusari. You want some Frenzies to be popped, that sort of thing. But it's not that easy to find these ganks as Sambersucker, right? Going for kills on Ama through Kukulkan, you're not going to be able to apply too many knockups. I think Nika's just going to be able to hotkey and say, hey, if you go for your ult, I'm just going to immune it. I'm going to dash away. Sambersucker can't pull me back in. I'm going to be fine. However, you can look towards the AMC. That's probably where the pressure needs to lie. This god has taken a lot of nerfs. He doesn't clear the wave as fast. He doesn't farm as fast. And he only gets 1 set of beads. So trying to lock him down, I think the Agni could pull the beads very easily. And then Sambersucker could have a free time trying to find a gank.
So you're kind of thinking maybe late game slanted a little bit more so for the Oni Warriors. Allow Dardis to try and get as much pressure in mid as he can. So then is the onus then on the Solar Scarabs for trying and get the ball rolling a little bit earlier, maybe try and take over the early game so that way the Warriors can't
start the game.
That would be the call for sure. If you're letting Fafnir quadruple auto attack get to late game, your objectives are going to not be existent. Every time you see them spawn, they'll die just as quickly, and you don't want your tanks to be anywhere near that sort of draft. So I'm thinking early pressure for the Solar Scarabs for sure.
Early game for the Scarabs, late game for the Warriors, but we got to figure out which of those two is going to prevail for these 2 squads.
Bro, Dardis really does only play 2 gods, man.
That's right, and Miff, what's the most important game of the set? Game number 2, exactly, and we'll see if the Oni Warriors are just 1 game away from going back to Worlds, or if the Solar Scarabs guarantee us at least a game 4. The desk sort of sets the stage for us here, Miff, between an AMC, a ROM, maybe a bit later on in the game, but also feeling like the Solar Scarabs have the opportunity to get active early.
I mean, sure, the Scarabs have got opportunities. Anytime there's an Awilish on your team, you're feeling pretty decent about it. Scary D on the Kukulkan should be able to hold his own lane. But I'm not so certain I fully agree with the, hey, AMC late game, right? AMC is very high pressure in the early. That's why he's gotten selected so much throughout the year.
Also late.
Also late,
right,
very good.
But not just late.
Not just late, right? It is, hey, I'm going to out-clear just about anybody, and that starts at level 3. So keep your eyes on Dardis. He could certainly be a point of contention for the Oni Warriors. They could play through him if they so choose, whereas this Agni has gotten a lot of changes not only to him throughout the year, but also to the itemization that these mages have gone towards, Sands of Time in particular. Getting additional damage to minions could help out a fair bit.
It's an interesting start.
Oh, I missed it. I was doing my spiel.
You were doing your spiel. It's a small thing, but Cuvo soloed green while Vote and Dardis did red together, and then Dardis went back to speed with Cuvo, who then went right. I don't know if it's ultimately going to make much of a difference, but does end Cuvo Fred over here on the right side of the map.
I think that just opens up your support to defend purple buff.
Sure.
And it still clears the entire jungle. We've seen it like once or twice. It's a smart adaptation to this invade meta that has established.
Wasn't adaptation, ultimately didn't mean too much, but always fun to watch teams flexing around on the meta a little bit. Goodness, Sam and Hurrywin both take a decent bit of damage. Now, while we see these double ADC compositions with a physical solo laner, usually the conversation is, okay, it's heavy fizz, but you've got a
we're qualified.
Slice Nem to steal away prots. You've got a stinger from AMC to
yes, brother.
Less than it used to, but still pretty good.
That in the past has been enough. And maybe by your own
Scarabs comps, fine.
Should be enough later on in the
game.
Like
a normal comp to me.
Nika's passive, the triple auto attack to make everybody do a little bit more damage as well. So the Oni Warriors with lockdown could really deal with just about anybody. In particular, I'm concerned for the tanks, Scary D and Hurrywin. Hurrywin could pull anybody in, sure, but they're going to be returning.
Bro, the Warriors, for the 2 years straight, pick the same exact comps, bro. I don't think they know how to play anything else.
Pray that transformation happens quick enough.
Always double Hunter, AMC, and Fafnir. That's like their staple comp.
I'm excited to see how it pans out, but Looking at itemization
all they play.
already, seems to me that Scary D is not so concerned with defense, instead likely Soul Leader in that first slot.
It's a great stat stick item. Hugo Fred, Sanford Soccer, both on the right side.
Breaks and
Move up
seedings work for
spawning
Worlds. There's no
shortly,
break.
but no
Go to Worlds
wave
next week.
for now.
Or this week.
Either of the two junglers. Now, one thing you and I had talked about, really
Top 4 seeds are already determined.
going on. We actually had a really nice
And the top 4 teams will pick who they play
really
in order.
Going through the theory of Smite.
Are you stroking my ego or yours?
No, I'm saying you and I both.
Yeah,
we're
both
going.
of
We're
us.
going tit for tat on all the nuances and the numbers and really the code. We got down to code level about this AMC and how you're gonna have a Cucullin diving in. You're gonna have potential big pulls from Hurrywind. Because so often the conversation is susceptible because
Oh yeah,
it's
Cox.
relatively
Right back at you,
immobile.
brother.
What's the level of concern for Dardas here on the AMC?
Prognosis, don't get pulled, you're probably okay, is as far as I'm willing to go with it, right? It's not standard initiation, barring Hurrywind. Landfall, of course, great, awesome. If you land it, there's a wall behind them, you pulled them into your front line, and it's really difficult for AMC to deal with that situation. Otherwise, unlikely that Hurrywind's finding max range pulls are the first ability against AMC, especially in the late game team fight. Scary D initiation, pretty strong, but hasn't gone towards Blink in first slot. Won't necessarily be incredibly tanky with this style of build either, so we'll have to be hesitant on how he starts up the fight. I would be much more concerned if Hurrywind was playing something like Ymir. Throw a wall up behind an AMC,
dual main.
things hit the fan.
That's crazy, bro.
Because
Whoa.
it's tied to the ultimate, I think that if Dardas
They got
is playing
spies in our
intelligently, as
chat.
he always does, hangs out in that back line, it would be pretty difficult for the Solar Scarabs to dive him. In fact, I might even stretch to say you could use Dardas as bait. Because he is such a high priority target.
Fantastic knock up and a pull from Sanford Soccer.
No way.
The last bit from Scary D. It's there. And first
Camp
blood, that was
Nika.
close. Nika
They're doing what the
nearly gets away, but nearly not enough.
they're doing what the
That first blood from
Mambo
Soul Scarab,
did.
Soul Leader online
Camp Nika.
for Scary D. A few extra
That's crazy
stacks,
that dual main
and a
it,
nice
honestly.
initiation from Sam.
Yeah, Nika has learned his lesson now. If Scary D is just randomly running at you with his ultimate, you're going to have to Dazzling Offensive to immune the knockup, or Gravity Surge will be there every single time. Fortunately for Nika, he's been able to get the better end of the farm on this side of the map pretty consistently, so hasn't fallen too far behind. Backs for the Golden Blade, teleports back in, doesn't even miss out on too much of the wave either. Should be able to get a bit of that pressure back. But as far as the 1v1 is concerned, once Soul Leader is done for Scary D, the sustain advantage that Nika generally benefits from when he decides to play the Amaterasu will be mitigated a fair deal. You got the self-sustain from the first ability, but if Scary D's fighting, he's also healing and also getting stronger, getting closer to that Rage transformation.
Yep.
Might dissuade Nika from looking at that 1v1 anymore.
So it's an early advantage for Scary D, who, if you follow the journey of Scary D on the Scarabs team, it was a slow starter earlier on in the year. It was a team that struggled to really find their identity. At times, we have seen that vintage Scary D, at the time Belair type of performance. It just has not been the consistent thread all year long. Opening up that door now on really what is a vintage Scary D type of pick in the Cucullin. Should give the Solar Scarabs and their fans a bit of confidence moving forward. But say the same for Nika and Amaterasu. How many times has this pick simply won games for the Oni Warriors? Two heavy
Wasn't there
hitters.
like a 15-game stretch this year where he just only played Ama and only won?
Yeah, and you know what? I couldn't remember if Nika was the type of guy who enjoyed it or felt.
He hated it.
Okay, right. He's one of the players who's like, I gotta play this every time. Because there are some players. Snoopy's at risk of being one shot. Stinger picked up by Dardas, so relatively low commitment there, and forces Snoopy to dash away. No pots remaining in the mid lane. Sanford Soccer lurking. Suppose Scary D could find a knock-up on a Nika again, but as you mentioned, I think Nika had learned. But you're right. I mean,
Still kind of shocked how you guys won season 7. Same. That was the most improbable win for sure for us.
Between all of that, Metroid uses what be the last little bit of mana to get onto the wall and off of it. Vote just needs to hit a couple more autos. Was wondering if you would go to the sky and look for the snipes, but
Season 7 was
stay on the
PK.
ground.
We had no
Right
business
side,
winning in Season
Cuvo Fred
7.
will use his speeds to avoid the pull from
We didn't even
Soccer.
scrim
Nika
for like a week
needs to
before
supply a
Worlds
bit more
because we
damage
all
because
hated each other.
Cuvo Fred's got to leave, but so does Nika, and it's going to happen again. This time it's around blue, but the Scarabs run back a very similar play, and it's put pressure on the Zama, and it's paid off again.
Yeah, we were wrong to be worried at all about the AMC in the early. Clearly, Nika has been the target. Great plays from the Solar Scarabs. San Francisco in particular getting involved very early on in this one. Cuvo Fred just
Doesn't get along.
the gravity surge, forced to retreat with his beads, and from there, Nika says, well, I
Well,
can't
they didn't really
just let
hate
my
each other.
jungler die. He's one of my late game win conditions. Reinitiates, loses his
Me
own
and Neil
one
were at
first
odds.
game. The Oni Warrior is going to have to find some sort of equilibrium on that right-hand side. Some rotations from Dardes could help out a bit. We've already seen what his damage output was like 10 stacks ago on the Transcendence, so as he gets closer and closer to finishing up that item, could start to bring the fight over to that right-hand side. If the Solar Scarabs become predictable, if they continually move in
Trying
towards
to
that
clean up.
blue,
There's nothing to clean
I
up,
think
bro.
it's likely the Oni Warriors respond with numbers.
Do you feel like, you know, this is a conversation we've probably had over the years, I'm sure, where you get this nice big lead built up in solo lane. It's 2 levels for Scary D. The downside is that it's over in solo lane, right? Do you think that opens your team up, though, to earlier rotations? Are you making objective calls around Pyros, around even Gold Furies to get Scary D in, but you can extend that lead to mid. You sure will. Snoopy deletes Dardes despite the stinger. And so some woes.
The Warriors are back.
Now mitigated as Snoopy will pull a lead over Dardes.
The Warriors
Well, to
are
answer the initial
back. They
question,
win game 1,
yes,
and
be
then they
concerned.
look.
I don't think it's
like
more
complete
so
garbage.
around the Pyromancer fight that wins solo lanes ahead, which is a bit counterproductive or counter.
Not banned here anymore? I unbanned everyone a bit ago.
Pyromancer's easier. It's the fact
Welcome
that
back.
your solo laner is capable of rotating further without having to worry about losing
Welcome
on
back, my
farm,
friend.
and he rotates with a massive lead. Maybe a Gold Fury fight could start going their way. Maybe things along those lines start to become a little bit more precarious for the Oni Warriors. It's exactly.
Bro,
what
how
we
do
see
these
from
Warriors
Deathlock
always
earlier
do
on,
this?
right? Dominates that lane, starts bleeding the lead elsewhere to the map.
How they
goes
always
backhand,
just suck
makes it
again?
more difficult
They
for
win game
junglers
1
as
and then they
well.
just suck, bro.
Scary D, not exactly that
Oh
far
my
gone,
god, I
right?
don't
It's
understand.
only about level, maybe a 75% of
Yo, what's up,
level
Pickle?
over Nika, but considering the Kukulkan, considering how much damage he does in the early and the Soul Eater already done, no anti-heal picked up just yet by the
Well,
Oni
Appleseed,
side.
one thing they're consistent in
He can be
is
a menace.
winning game 1 and then sucking afterwards.
Ultimately, remember we were.
I don't
said
get
we
it, bro.
shouldn't be worried about Dardes in mid, and then as we say it, the gank happens. Again,
I don't
feels
get it.
simple. Dardes holds onto the beads. I assume just sensing that.
You think soup is a side dish or a
Lockdown
meal?
was
It depends what kind of
was
soup
a
it
lot of
is.
burst damage
If
that
it's a
found
soup
its
that has a
way
lot
in.
of stuff in it, then it's a meal.
So Snoopy with Divine Ruin.
It's like a
helps out
wonton
against
soup or
Dardes
like
to start
some
off
kind of
this
light
remaining
soup, then
phase
it's a
here.
side dish.
I wonder about the timer that's on this match, though, Myth. It's 2,000 gold lead for the Scarabs, but do you feel like they are racing against a clock here? You've got a double Hunter composition. Do you need to see more in the first 10 minutes, or are we right on track?
I think the Solar Scarabs, even in an even late game state, it's not like 6-4, even 7-3 odds for the Oni Warriors. It's a strong composition come late game, but it's incredibly high execution. It's not double Hunter with an Athena or Ymir. It's a double Hunter with Fafnir, which means you're shredding objectives. That's super easy. It's because Fire Giant and Gold Fury doesn't run away from you. It's a whole lot of single target CC from the Warriors.
Remember the good
Dazzling
old
offensive,
SK days
whole
where
lot
Sam
of
Neil
work.
Scary were
They
playing
want
the
this
best they
comp to
ever
work
had?
out. Whereas the Solar Scarabs, it's standard, top to bottom. You got 2 ways to initiate.
wonder-
both AoE CC,
wonder
standard
why.
rage out of mid, so those Rainfire just gonna poke out pretty consistently, or be the burst damage that you need as well. I'm not so certain the Solar Scarabs are feeling much pressure on the clock, especially considering it is still a lead.
Oni Warriors may be their best selves as far as strength goes later in the game, but
Oh, he almost
have a lot
caught him.
to do to realize it. Scaredy transforms, dashes
Oh,
forward.
good try by Tyler.
Land fall. Only has the land. No falling Oni Warriors from the sky on the other side. So I admire the attempt. Really what it does is buy space for this. Pyromancer for the Solar Scarabs is the Oni Warriors. Split the map. They'll keep Vote over on left. He's actually going to channel it back here. No wave to farm. Uninterested in damage on the tower. The Scarabs now setting a really nice pace for themselves in this game. Actually had bled down a little bit. Experience a bit close. And you get the feeling, Myth, here around the 12-minute mark. This first Gold Fury carries a bit more weight than usual.
We
Good. If
start the
Warriors get it, we're
fire.
back to an even state. If the Solar Scarabs get it, we're starting to approach the point of the game where experience maybe a little bit less important.
Would I rather see at
before,
Worlds?
especially if that lead starts at 3, 4, 5,000 mark. So the Solar Scarabs would absolutely love to grab this Fury, keep the.
I don't know. I got friends on both teams.
Looking elsewhere on the map to find
Both of them.
farm.
This is not going to be the case.
Good pick, just one for the Oni Warriors, could lead to the gold. That's the nature of a double hunter Fafnir composition. You really do make short work of those objectives. But as far as finding that pick, we haven't seen too many proactive plays from Cuvo Fred just yet. He hasn't been ganking on map. It's more so, okay, the Scarabs are on my blue, I need to get there. Or they're on the back camps, I need to get there. Hasn't been looking for his own pick or own ganks. Maybe Netroid a decent target for it. If Snoopy keeps dashing as he has, pretty aggressively in mid, could be another way in. But this Nemesis lacking the hard CC on her own, it just makes it very difficult to execute on, especially against a composition like this from the Scarabs. I mean, so many of them are just incredibly safe. Hurrywind has the leap. Netroid, Aegis built into his kit if he jumps into a wall. Snoopy with that dash. I don't blame him. Fred's got a hard time finding targets.
Collapse happening over towards the left. Both teams may end up just slipping by one another, but no, Cuvo Fred takes the initial burst. Hurrywind leaping in towards him. Now Neilma under threat, but tanky target. Use the beads on the pole from Sanford Soccer, so gravity surge down. Lots of CC though making its way in. Netroid has joined the fight, but he is away from the rest of his team. He's got to roll away. Neilma's able to jump out. Scary D eyeing a knockup. And Neilma's
he's actually trapped there?
Far longer than he should have. But he ends up dying nonetheless. Knock up from Scary D.
That's not a good trade.
Nika reinitiates with the dazzling offensive. How about the snipes from Vote? The last one hits and it's Snoopy erupting under the damage.
Bro, Maui just saved Fred. Oh my god.
Netroid left burning. All the magical damage flies in as well. Vote on a double kill. Hurrywind left running. It's a roll in. Could be a third. Vote hits it, triple kill for Vote, and out of nowhere, the Oni Warriors fly into game 2.
The Solar Scarabs dive into that back line. It's
bro, they use so much to kill Fafnir, and the Kukulkan overextended.
You got a glide shield, the damage outputs there.
Kukulkan overextended so hard, he like jumped in.
Potentially the Oni Warriors rings true. The target selection from the Solar
And then he couldn't get out afterwards.
Got to get him done first. Nika's dove us. We got to deal with him. When you're looking at the front line that much, a double hunter draft feels pretty good if they're free casting the entire time. Dardas and Vote end that fight essentially with full HP to fight up against the last 3 of the Solar Scarabs, and you are just not matching that DPS. The Oni Warriors from the brink.
They used everything on the tanks. They used everything on the Fafnir.
I didn't think they were going to deicide the Scarabs. It's actually
and then Kukulkan died right after, so they had no frontline presence really. Maui had no wall.
The Warriors looking real good. Alarm.
There was no threat. Wheelix ulted already. Like literally no cooldowns to go on the hunters.
Mental hit.
Yeah, Doug, I'd love to see net worth first because I want to check where Nika and Scary D have now ended up. So Nika, about 400 gold behind Scary D.
Still big.
Which is decent. However, when you consider the investment that the Solar Scarabs sent to that side of the map early on, you would hope it'd be a bit bigger at this point.
I mean, it could have been okay, but Scary D just overextended.
So Nika's been in a really good spot.
It's just the Chalice diff.
Yeah, that's right. The Chalice and the bit of the healing that Scary D can do, XP-wise, actually now Nika has taken the lead. And so if you're looking at all of the culmination of the early pressure, a Chalice is now the difference between Nika and Scary D. 1-3-1 doesn't look great.
Why does Scary D have an amulet?
In that previous fight.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's the arrival of Vote into this set. In game 1, he did his job.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question.
Here in game 2, he's taken a fight over now. Looked fantastic.
I don't know why he has any magic D.
Earlier set this weekend. And if you're starting to spin up those wheels, if Vote
that is an excellent question.
Of the screen. Just threatening as all get out.
You know what his name was before Vote, right?
I was actually trying to bait you into telling me because I forgot what the...
That's Vote NBK.
Yeah, right. I forgot what the NBK was.
Natural Born Killer.
I couldn't remember if it was something like bad and I couldn't say it on air.
And you were trying to bait me into saying it?
Because I know you would before I would.
Awful. You are a terrible coworker.
What do you mean? I'm the best.
Okay.
I'm the best coworker. We're going to be roommates in about 3 days.
Okay. People don't need to know that.
I asked him for one king bed, and so hopefully that's
Stop it. Talk about Smite. This is worlds on the line.
If you're getting flustered, just hang in there with me. Oni Warriors then vote the natural born killer on a 3-kill streak. He's picked up a tier 2 OD bow, and that passive will help limit maybe some of the blinks in from Scary D and Sanford Soccer, especially as you start to funnel into these jungle fights.
Interesting.
Scarabs, though, while they did have a nice gold lead, it's more stabilized now. They're the only Warriors, the ones who have won the recent, the big, the overwhelming team fight. Still the Solar Scarabs with plenty of questions left to ask. Everyone in the game, except for Hurrywind, who's at level 11, and Scary D has beads as well. So a lot of those individual instances of CC, you need to start seeing them before.
Bro, I can't believe he has Heart Ward Amulet. Oh my god.
Our composition is strong. We're not that far behind in power spikes either. Snoopy just finished up the Soul Reaver, the burst potential now starting to appear in the builds. It's just about target selection. It's who you're hitting first. If the Solar Scarabs can make contact with, really it's Vote now. I was going to say Dardas because he's easier to kill.
It's just auto-buy in his brain, dude. He's just not thinking.
Hunters, you're
not
feeling
thinking.
pretty good. You hear that ring, that Pyromancer going down? You're not feeling so great about it. The Solar Scarabs should just disengage from here. The Oni Warriors, with a bit of pressure, see the Solar Scarabs pull Pyro, reset, and the Warriors say, well, if you're not going to, we will. Take it for themselves.
Clean around objectives, especially with this type of composition, very important. Now Nika's strong enough, I think, can scurry away from the damage that Sanford Soccer and Scary D trying to apply. Fire Giant might look like it's been pulled, but just walked through by the Scarabs. Snoopy got off to a great start here this game, but
Wards have a lot of wards.
Agni, really, if you imagine this, when we start to get into the slim jungle corridors, raining fire from the back line with a couple squishier targets to look for is going to be important. But that, I mean, you walk forward, you take half your health and damage. Makes you start to think about your positioning when you're hoping to get Dardas a bit more worried about his. Meeting of the minds here behind the red buff. Knock up on a Neoma and a pull, but what's there on the other side?
Holy fuck, Neil's so squishy to Agni.
Druid might join the fray. He's used his ultimate. Said we'll go back by red buff. Neoma now in trouble. Transformation well timed. Should be able to jump out and away. Pops the frenzy. Sanford Soccer one snipe away. Vote hits it again, and the snipes starting to connect. Dardas.
Why is Dardas over there? Where the fuck are the Scarabs? Oh my.
Rejoin the rest of his team. He's not concerned about Hurry.
What am I watching, bro?
Warriors have won one fight, and now they're looking to go back to back. Though still damage there.
What am I watching, bro?
I misspoke earlier. I said the Solar Scarabs had learned their lesson. Don't focus Neoma. They've done it again, Dave. Sanford Soccer pulls Neoma in. Neil strips the beads from Snoopy, starts giggling on the way out, and the chase continues, and the Oni Warriors just punish him for it once more. The target cannot be this Fafnir. It is one of the most elusive, evasive Guardians in the game. The longest leap, a built-in Aegis, and then the longest leap again. So difficult to shut him down. Even maintains the beads through it all. Neoma.
SPL sucks, dude.
Warriors once more.
Holy fuck.
Netroid does not have access to ultimate on respawn, so it would be a numbers advantage, at least for a little while. But instead, an easier target. The tier 1 on right, that'll fall down and it'll go quick. Solar Scarabs can only watch on from a distance. Keep your eyes on vision. I think that's pretty important. A couple Sentry Wards in the pockets of the Solar Scarabs should be able to work their way back into that pit. Wards here or there means that Oni Warriors and Solar Scarabs have got pretty decent knowledge of what's happening around the Fire Giant. Otherwise, the Warriors, the onus is on them now. We're in the late portion of the game. You've hit a bunch of really significant power spikes. Dardas has burst potential through the roof, going through that Titan's Bane tree. Vote's got a little bit of AoE DPS as well. I think now it's time to group up and force the Solar Scarabs to put up a defense.
Yeah, think about how important those snipes have been in the last few fights where whether it's finishing off targets or half-healthing one of the carries immediately. It's on it. Oh God, you know, those momentary moments of disengage and immunity, whether you're talking about Neo on the transformation or Vote who's able to go up in the sky on the snipes. The Scarab's trying to find an initiation, and then it's just a quick pause from Vote when he goes up to the sky. A quick pause from Neoma when he transforms. Has made the Scarabs have to think heavily. Great from Scary D, but nobody has pulled back in. Scary chasing down the back line. Hasn't found him, though. But the surge from the Scarabs, it's overwhelming.
Imagine if Scary had another fucking like a McGuardian meal or something.
Can't transform your way out of this one. What has happened? It's Scary D who's happened. Snoopy, though, has been stunned. And both teams will have to settle for one.
Scary D puts on his cape and makes the hero.
I don't like this call. I don't like this call, bro.
His life. Now it's the Solar Scarabs.
This is so fucking dumb,
is
bro.
healthy and he's got damage.
It's the Solar Scarabs who are still tanking it. Be careful. Dardes, though, without Stinger, can poke him down. Now the only Warriors, the team who have picked up FG. Hurrywin sticks around. Snoopy has range here. Snoopy has a chance to steal. Snoopy won't do it. Fire.
What the fuck are these games?
Right where the Scarabs leave him off and get Fire Giant on 3.
And it's the only Warriors. Just see the Solar Scarabs lose the thread. They had pulled the fire.
Shit, man.
Reset way too far. The Warriors given too
No
much
wonder why the
time.
SEC teams won.
Oh my God. Nika
Look at this.
Scary on this pick. This is
What
when
is
Nika looks
this?
terrifying. When he can walk forward. I don't care if he's 3-3-3. He's 10-0 in his mind, and he's dashing into Hurrywind. Only Warriors go +2 on the FG. 2 for Cuvo Fred. High fives across the booth. And the Warriors, they're smelling a 2-0 lead.
The Warriors can now start pushing down all these towers remaining on the map. Haven't even needed to reset themselves.
God damn.
Push down left. Nobody's
This is
taking
rough.
the command core of Nika and Cuvo Fred. It would take a concentrated effort from the Solar Scarabs to slow them down. But that's not the only place pressure's happening on the map. Boats pushing down mid. Should be joined by Dardes very shortly. And it's the Solar Scarabs once more who take a small win, take a couple of picks. You kill Vote, you get Neil down, remove their Fire Giants, overstay, moving in towards that tier 1 tower. Nika able to chase him out and just has so much damage in the build that really could have done the majority of it on his own, but doesn't have to because the rest of the Warriors were at his flank. The Solar Scarabs have got decent base defense, though, Dave. It's a standard mage. I love it. I love when Agni can put up a defense in situations like that. It's poke from a ranged initiation. The stun can set up for landfall. Massive landfalls from Hurrywin so far this game. Should be a little bit easier when these team fights simplify in these enclosed spaces around tier 2s and Phoenixes. Otherwise, Netrud won't be able to really utilize the Living Nightmare, the ultimate. Except for the slow, which is decent on chase down, but otherwise I'm looking at Scary D, I'm looking at Hurry, I'm looking at Snoopy. They've really got to step it up here.
I wonder if the Scarabs feel like they should have gotten more off the big pull from Scary D.
That's
Vote
good.
is sent back, but again, it might just be Neoma who gets traded out. He does. He gets pulled back, but again, this is what's happened time and time again. Neoma's hit the pause button. D transforms, ends up dying, but now Cuvo Fred's back behind the Solar Scarabs. The rest of his team actually left him and kept applying damage to the Phoenix. What I thought actually was a nice delay from Neoma turned into an overstay from Cuvo Fred. And the rest of the Oni Warriors left scurrying. It's only Dardes and Nika maintaining the buff.
Yeah, I didn't see how Fred even ended up back there. Neoma as well had access to beads, I believe. Likely could have immuned that gravity surge. Maybe a bit of a red herring in the last couple of fights. Was so used to getting pulled in and saying, hey, this is good for me. Does so once more, takes a bit too much damage, and falls down. The Oni Warriors keep Fire Giant on one of their carries, so could keep up pressure. And with that left side Phoenix, so weak, could even try and attempt once more to knock that one down once Cuvo Fred rejoins the land of the living. Besides that, tier 2's not bad. Gold Fury up as well to extend your lead even further. The Oni Warriors in a very good position still, but the Solar Scarabs have done a lot to slow down that Fire Giant. What could have been a disastrous situation has extended into a longer match in a bit more of an even state. That said, I don't think we see Neoma make that same mistake. He's beads in the next one.
I say this with nothing but love for Neoma. Do you think the Fafnir is just like the perfect Neoma pick? Because if you get caught out, you can like take a pause and transform and jump out to the rest of your team. Like
Between that and like Jing Shen.
I'm thinking if there's a Ymir here, this is one of the like 06 or Neoma games. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. With how he's been positioning in some of these team fights as well. My man is up there.
I love that guy.
You can accuse him of many things. Cowardice is not in his dictionary.
That's a great way of looking at it. So the Fafnir might get a little Neoma boost here, and he's looked good on it. Obviously facilitates the double hunter composition wonderfully, plus Frenzy, plus Shogun's Kusari. So the Solar Scarabs myth, we've seen the one big initiation from Scary D around fire. And I didn't catch it either. Sam wasn't in range, or a pull got beadsed out, something like that. Ended up just at a 1-for-1 trade, and then an awkward tug of war.
It's a good one, though. Got the vote for Scary. You take that trade every day.
It. But then the Oni Warriors were able to pick back up the Fire Giant and confirm it anyway. So that's maybe miscoordination from the Scarabs. Good news for the Solar Scarabs. Not too much of it here in game number 2. You're down about 6,000, as Doug has showed us. You're going to regroup as a team here. All your Phoenixes left on the map. Can send a Trebuchet if you're interested, though it might not find much value because we're going to be hanging out over here anyway. An opportunity to contest, at least here at the 27-minute mark.
It is. The Oni Warriors can't have Scary D do what he did in the previous fight. If it's another 4-man knockup, the game's a bit closer now. The damage output from Snoopy much higher. Could really punish you in a situation like that.
Nice.
Bubble off vote means that Hurrywin now has a pretty decent target for the landfall. Keep my eyes on him. Steps forward. Doesn't connect. Just a bit more poke. The Oni Warriors giving up a lot of space here, Dave. Should give a little bit more vision over towards the Solar Scarabs. No sentries in pocket, so vision out from the Warriors will remain. 1 sentry left for Nika means that he can move into the pit if he so chooses. Try and strip a little bit off of the Solar Scarabs. But neither team showing a propensity to actually pulling the Fire Giant. And I think rightfully so. The Oni Warriors may have a lead, but not so much he could just do it in their face.
Snoopy can follow up some damage, but all the damage is on to Scary D, and why wouldn't Vote hit every snipe? Solo Laner dropped, no chance to use his ultimate, and now the chase down begins. Oni Warriors waltzing into the Scarab side of the jungle, but be careful. The fadeaway damage.
Bro, can they stop going on Neil or what?
Pick up too much momentum.
They should just go hard on the back, turn a wall. Oh, Wheelix just get in the fuck in there. Maui ult to separate the fight.
Might have actually gotten that ult off. Either way, it didn't make a difference. The Oni Warriors
try something else.
Teleport ready to go. Should Nika won.
Dave, Neil is the only one on his team to have upgraded his beads. That removes a bit of cooldown from it. He refuses to use them. He's gotten pulled by every gravity surge.
And he's still alive. He's happy to do it.
Yeah. I upgraded him in case I want to, but I don't.
He's not worried about the gravity surge. It's the stun from Snoopy that he's waiting to use to just be done. It's the Agni stun that'll pull out the beads. Maybe a pull from Hurrywind. We do know one thing, and that's Fire Giant's low. Sanford Soccer, a miracle play. Scary D, he's teleported in back behind. He's found Darnez. And so we're on a split engagement here. But Sanford Soccer's got to leap up and over the wall. Scary D can't finish the kill, but Netrio, it sure can.
Oh, shit. He didn't have his 2? Wait, what?
Backs away. Cubo Fred has cleaned up Snoopy as well. But Netrio it on a double. We're trading blows on the right side of the map. Both teams lose a jungle. Nika
so
down the Warriors. Snoopy gone for the Scarabs.
Scary D resustaining a bit. Netrio
here we go.
well.
Pull fire.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, my God.
On the retreat, Dart is forced to use the Stinger. Should be the end of this engagement.
No, Mike. Stop pulling the fire, you dumb donuts. Oh, my God.
Where the timer's at, about on par with each other. That fight happens simultaneously. 2 engagements on the map. Solar Scarabs.
Fuck, I'm going to lose it.
I think happy to take that split fight. Sanford Soccer makes a difficult decision in that engagement. Do I reinitiate, risk my life? Yes. Does so, trades it. But make sure that at least one more pays on the Oni Warriors. The Solar Scarabs, they're scrappy. They're sticking in there. And they've bought themselves yet another defense attempt around the fire.
Myth, I'm scared.
Of what?
This game. The enhanced Fire Giant fight.
It's the best of 5. We got so many more.
Oh, we do. Or maybe we only have one more. Who knows? All I know is that the Scarabs and this never give up attitude all year long.
Yeah,
big
beams.
The rosters looked like this or very different at the start of the year. It's been a resilient team, and they've had to find ways to win. And if nothing else, despite what has been a crazy lead from the Oni Warriors, have drawn the line. And it's right around this Fire Giant. I thought that teleport way in behind from Scary D could have made a massive difference in that fight, and it did in the sense that it pulled the Oni Warriors back, but a couple low health bars, lifesteal working overtime on the previous fight. Hurrywind, landfall, no good.
Did he get Darda's beads?
Initiation now missing for the Scarabs.
Hurry probably just wants to wait on some stuns for the next one. These landfalls have not been finding their value. If you just allow Snoopy to start it up for you, it would be a
Right, Myth is right. Just let Snoopy stun.
as a wall. Can't blame Hurry for trying, though. The Oni Warriors were a bit not grouped up, a bit spread out in that jungle, so a pull likely would have led to a pick. Speaking of, Neoma, he's gone in.
Scary team.
Wait, this is good. This is good for the Scarabs. Get the fuck in there, you donuts.
Surge.
Oh my god, they should go in.
That's their initiation. Cubo Fred's the only one on the Warriors.
I would have gone in, bro.
Who's not used his,
They blew their whole load on Scary, bro.
Warriors now massive advantage on right.
Use their whole load and they use Frenzy.
All you gotta
They
do
should have
is
taken the
generate
fight.
The Solar Scarabs will show up. They will try and defend. Now would be a phenomenal opportunity to look for it. But even then, Hurry already halfway back to his ultimate Sam for Soccer in the exact same position.
Yeah, cooldown goes hard.
Yeah, up to 40%. You know, that's pretty good. The Oni Warriors had to spend that 40% of time just walking back from base. It's a hard reset.
Wow,
Maybe the biggest difference, Scary D doesn't have his rage stacked up anymore. Could be a while till we see that transformation.
Neoma does not have beads, however, so this time, if a big gravity surge connects,
Coaching nobody, bro.
well, he'd be able to maybe transform before a gravity surge pulse comes in, but something he'll have to watch out for. Bubble onto one.
Yo,
Scary
what?
forward.
What?
Ult does not connect.
No
for
way,
Scary.
my boy
Searching
blinks
for the
into
front line.
Alta Fafnir. There's
Wee
no
boy strong enough.
way.
Again, initiation now missing from the Solar Scarabs.
Good stun.
Stun onto Snoopy.
There's
Damage
no
to the Warriors as
way.
well. Neoma transforms.
Ooh.
That tends to be when these
Ooh.
teams want to fight. How about a dazzling offensive
Oh.
in from Nika? But where's all this damage come from? He's not sure.
Good pull.
But Vote's on a killing spree.
Yo,
Has
okay,
shredded
Scary is
D. Now
costing
again,
so hard.
this Kokana's
Why
gonna
does
be
he
out of the
jump
fight. Vote
there,
looks a
bro?
bit with
Why
the
does he
snipes.
jump there? What does he
Warriors
think
drop
is gonna
down from the
happen,
sky with
dude?
the
He doesn't even
one-man
have his
advantage.
ult.
Scary D's got a
I'm
teleport
so
on
confused.
respawn, so it is
First he
truly
blink
only
ults
50
Fafnir that
seconds
just
left till he
jumps
joins the
away.
engage with the Oni Warriors.
Secondly,
Gotta make use of that
he
time.
Oh,
uses
man,
his
Nika's
3
starting to go
in front of
crazy.
both
He's got
hunters
entry
without
on.
his ult
He's
and
forced to use
just
the disengage,
dies,
but
bro.
Nika,
What
you can't just
am
walk through
I
all this. You need your
watching?
boys. And
I'm
the
so
boys are here. Cubo Fred
confused.
follows his
So
solo laner into
dumb.
battle and is traded with Netrioid double kill.
Okay,
Snoopy
Sam.
adds the first. Sam for Soccer's got to go big for the Solar Scarabs here. His team has lost a
It just
few.
doesn't make any
Only
sense,
Warriors
bro, if you
lose
just
2
think
in trade,
about
though.
it.
These have not been clean engagements. Neither team with a big advantage.
What a massive chase from the Oni Warriors.
Oh, they're
Keep
going.
both hunters alive. It'd go quick. They can hold on to the fire and the Solar
Just let him
Scarabs-
have it, bro.
I don't think they get there in time,
I
Dave.
don't know if they have time. It's down to half HP. Sam has got to sprint over here. Hurrywind
That's it.
does as well. They will not arrive in time, and the only Warriors get EFG. I suppose if you're going to have 3 members of your team survive,
Why you
it's
even
2
why you
carries
even
and a
look into
support,
do
and
something here?
Fafnir
Go
with
for
a
him.
Shogun's Kusari.
Could've been
That
taking their
allows
red
him
and
to
purple.
melt the EFG and get the big objective. And it's still on your mid laner, your AD carry, and your support. Siege now can begin. 2 tier 2 towers and an open left Phoenix.
Solar Scarabs, though, their defense not weak. We've seen it a couple times around the Fire Giant. Now have map advantage in that it will be likely around their own Phoenix. Neomop just can't die here. Shouldn't
He
and
won't.
won't.
He's Fafnir, you know?
He's so safe. He still has those beads and the transform. Yeah, he's all
and
right.
he might even use those beads.
Second time this game.
Bro, you know,
want to.
fucking
Doesn't have
losing
to
my
this
mind
time.
watching this game.
Look at that health just
Holy
fully
fuck.
regain. Solar Scarabs back to full. As far as team members on map go. Been a lot of damage from Dardes in these last few engagements. He's up over 30,000, next highest just over 20. Netroid's felt like he's been under a lot of pressure here in this game. 5-3 and 5 on the Chernobog. Nika's done a good job of starting off the rundown, but we have seen the Amaterasu start to burn somewhat quickly. As the itemization catches up, which it has. Everyone's 6 slotted. Now you're just seeing if anyone sells off their starter items, picks up a full true 6th item, but numbers-wise, Myth, it's really the enhanced Fire Giant and a couple upgraded relics that make the difference.
Yeah, those relics could be significant too. Temporal beads for Dardes, Neil, and Vote gives you over additional CDR. Still waiting on a couple of beads. Nika and Cuvo holding off on their own. Upgraded Blink from Cuvo Fred.
Yeah, wait, see what I do?
We won't get a
I'd
chance
whip
to
him
see
into
it
shape,
knock
bro.
down.
You telling
All
him
the only Warriors need to
micromanaging
do
his
here
ass.
is survive Scary D's initiation. The fights that have gone well from the Scarabs have been off the back of that ultimate from Scary D, followed up by the Gravity Surge. If you can avoid that, a whole lot of it starts to become a lot easier. Things start to line up. Landfall could be a bit easier to find in some of these smaller corridors, especially when the game simplifies around Phoenix defense. Hurrywin can be a difference maker here.
Can also create the corridors. Hurrywin can, depending on where the landfall goes. Funnel the Oni warriors into certain areas of the map just for short durations. It's Nika and Scary D over in mid, Cubo, Fred, and Sanford Soccer mirroring one another, and then the other three on either side of the map on left.
Right side, Enhanced Minions already starting to push in. Might be able to take out that tower on its own, so the Oni warriors creep up pressure on the left. Neilmod transform, go button, but he's only got vote here.
Scary D, Salmon leaps forward. He's sent the knockup out as well, but hasn't hit anyone. A bit of poke damage from Snoopy hits its target. Sam has lost half of his health in the meantime. Mid lane Phoenix gone. An ult over from Netrioid, but Neilmod taken low in the meantime. He's been tanking up this Phoenix. And both mid and left Phoenix is gone. The Solar Scarabs myth a bit out of sorts here. Send one to mid and then jump back to left. But before they've been able to arrive, mid and left both taken down.
Truth be told, Dave, I went cross-eyed trying to track that offense from the Oni Warriors as well. So no surprise the Solar Scarabs caught a bit off guard. We got bird's eye view, and I still couldn't figure out exactly where that aggression was coming from. 3-stack in mid from the Warriors, able to slowly whittle down that Phoenix. Looked to me like Neilmod almost just used that Draconic transformation as a distraction, maybe telling the Solar Scarabs, hey, we're going to push here. A couple of members rotate over, and things start to line up once more. Only one bird, one tower between the Oni Warriors and the completely exposed Titan of the Solar Scarabs. This game's been going long. It's a much better shot at defense here in Game 2 than it was previously in Game 1. The Solar Scarabs just really strong in itemization. It's about play on field. Maybe a couple of potions separating each team now. The Oni Warriors wait for this next Fire Giant, I suppose. 1 minute left on respawn. And with the timing of those Phoenixes falling, the Solar Scarabs...
Guys, thanks for the prime.
It'll be a whole long
Alright, you want to go
while
outside, baby?
before they're
let me let my dog
so
out.
enhanced minion waves in both lanes, plus Trebuchet down right. The Oni Warrior is going to generate pressure passively on the map. Use that time, use that knowledge of where the Solar Scarabs are pushing to move into their jungle, drop some wards, establish vision. The Warriors playing it slow, they're playing it right. The Solar Scarabs, it's tough to fight into this because they can't walk anywhere without the Warriors knowing about it.
Yeah, allow those fire minions to just build up for the next 20 or so seconds. Hurrywin actually gets the beads off of Vote. There's no Fire Giant here, and the Scarabs want to go. This is your game-ending fight. Scary D again, the first one to get melted by the Oni Warriors and Sanford Soccer. He won't find the roundabout gank this time. Cubo, Fred, and Nika have read him like a book. Again, a double for Cubo Fred, who has been on it in these last couple team fights. It is now simple for the Oni Warriors. It is a 5 versus 3 in the base, broken open from the Solar Scarabs.
I'm surprised the Oni Warriors are even showing this much respect to the Scarabs. It could be an opportunity to just walk down the base. It's 40 seconds left after the Fire Giant falls on nearest respawn, so might as well put that EFG on everybody's belt. Solar Scarabs try and take the fight before the waves start to move into their base, realizing we haven't got time to play around. It has to be now. Scary D in first and out first as well as the Oni Warriors approach the throne room.
Snoopy,
yeah, horrific shits on Double Hunter.
Will prevent it from happening. Netrioid, Snoopy, Hurrywin, 3 that you want alive. You've got damage and you got tankiness. Do you have enough of it though? There's nothing on the map keeping this Titan strong. Oni Warriors once again walk into the Solar Scarabs base, and it's simple. Here in Game 2, we go 40, but the result's the same. Oni Warriors, they're on World's Point.
Solar Scarabs look so good throughout that early game as well. Remember